You are the first participant. Strap on your helmets and rev up your engines for Wheel People with Ed Lamberton. 2 hours of local dirt track racing. Ed Lamberton touches on local racing in and around the area. Wheel People is brought to you by Four Corner Tire, Elmo's Auto Body, Sampson Motor Car, Tanner's Lumber, and Adirondack Harley Davidson, where the mountain meets the road. Now, with your racing news, fast, Ed Lamberton. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Sampson Motor Car, Amsterdam, New York. Four Corner Tire, Elmo's Speed and Supply, Fonda Speedway Memories Facebook pages, Adirondack Harley Davidson, where the mountain meets the road, and Dairy Frost. Thank you for tuning in to Wheel People with Ed Lamberton. Now back to our show.
Go ahead.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey, hello. Hey, we're gaining 7:05. We're picking up. We may make 7 o'clock before the end of the season yet. That's
right.
good. I was just quickly here texting my guests to make sure that I remind them to call me when the time gets near, which is be very close. There we go. We should be good. Oh, before we get started, I'm going to put out a plea, help me, please, if you can. Over the past 3 weeks, I think, or 4, maybe 3, I've been trying to get a hold of Josh Coonrod, and I have succeeded in doing so once, but for whatever reason there, the connections didn't make up, and he wasn't able to make the show. Since then, I have missed him a couple of times at the speedways because of the time I get at the racetrack, and he had circumstances where he had left early, and I got there when it was feature time, didn't get a chance to run, whatever. So that's a couple missed times to see him face to face again in the pit area. So we keep trying, and I thought tonight was going to be the night, but I have contacted him by everything but carrier pigeon, and I haven't been able to get any response back yet. So I don't know if his phone is wrecked or he's working or what. But if any of you are out there are friends of Josh Coonrod and would like to hear him on the show, just notify him that we're looking for him, and we would like to talk to him around 8:30 tonight. So if you could pass that along to him and tell him to check his phone, because I did put the number of the station, which we will repeat for him around 8:30 if he's listening. Or so we will try to do that the best we can, and have Josh Coonrod for you. I put him down there because he's been on a roll, to say the least. Picked up 3 wins now at Albany Saratoga, 1 at Fonda Speedway, his first at both racetracks in the Pro Stock division a few weeks back.
Officially a first
So,
time for everything.
What's that?
Sound is perfect. First time
Oh,
out the gate.
okay. I thought that meant you had to go to a fire call.
No, that's the test sirens on Monday.
Monday night, it's play night. Play night, practice night at the Perth Fire Department, which was within range here, that's for sure. Anyhow, so I'll put that out there. Any Josh Coonrod fans or friends and can get a hold of him, tell him we have a spot open for him around 8:30 tonight. If he can do it, he can call us in. I know he does, I believe, work nights sometimes or whatever, but it's been I just give up. I'm putting my hands in the air and saying, help if you can, if you can. So be it. We'll figure something out, that's for sure. But we do have, and we've got confirmation from both of them a couple of times today, that we will have Jesse Mueller on. And Jesse, of course, tore the house down on Friday night at the Albany Saratoga Speedway, picking up his first ever big block modified feature win at the Great Race Place, and his first big block win on dirt anywhere. And of course, most of you who frequent the local tracks, the dirt tracks, have watched Jesse as he has grown into the big block division. Of course, he really got started on the asphalt at the Devil's Bowl Speedway and Albany Saratoga Speedway back when they were running asphalt. And so we're going to talk about the whole transition of coming from asphalt. And certainly he made a name for himself on the asphalt, picking up several wins and I believe a track championship. I'm not 100% sure, and I will find out very shortly. He was going to call us in around 7:30. And we will also be talking, for sure, to Jason Gray, who has picked up not only one, but back-to-back feature wins at Albany Saratoga. I believe he has 3 as well. And his first one a couple weeks back was his first. And he's kind of an interesting story as well as Jason travels, well, we can talk about that in the interview, but I did talk with him face-to-face on Friday night, and first time I've actually met the young gentleman, and great family was all around him and congratulating him as well. But he travels close to 3 hours. I think the trip home is a little quicker and, well, less traffic. We'll say that. But anyway, I said it takes about 2.5 hours to go home, and about 3 hours coming down with traffic in the northern part of Vermont. I guess he is getting up towards the Canadian border. White River Junction, if any of you are familiar with the Vermont area, that's where Jason Gray travels each and every week. So I know there's a lot of folks that complain, oh my goodness, we have to go, an hour to go to such and such racetrack, or an hour and a half or whatever. Well, this young gentleman and his family and his crew, which are one and the same, I think, pretty close, travel, well, it'd be like any of us from around this area, racing at Canandaigua on Saturday nights, or something similar to that. And that used to be done, but not too much anymore. And certainly in the support division, which the pay is not as great as the modifieds, it's quite a testament to how bad they want to race. And the young man has really hit on a setup that works over at Albany Saratoga this last couple of weeks for sure. Back-to-back wins. Not too much of that going around, especially at Albany Saratoga or any racetrack. It's so difficult now in any division to repeat. And we will bring it up. I know there's some people out there probably wondered why he, after winning the week previous, started in 8th this week. Well, it's because Albany Saratoga, like most tracks, go back 3 weeks winnings, and obviously, as we said, the sportsman winnings aren't as much as the modifieds, and he had a DNF fitted in with that win, and I don't know, it was a position way back in the back of the field the other week, so the one win really didn't draw him up high on money won, so he was able to grasp that. That will not happen Friday night, that's for sure. But tomorrow night, for the big show I'm sure that Jason will be coming down for that. That won't matter because that's going to be set up a different way. And I didn't talk to, we didn't bring that up with Brett Hearn last week about the qualifications for those twin sportsman events. And if somebody asks me, I'll have no idea. So maybe we'll ask, I'm sure that Jason would know if they're going to run, time trials and get that all sorted out or not. But I'm sure before the night's over, we'll know how that's all going to work. And of course, that's one of the big news lines this week. Of course, in our area, is the big show tomorrow night at the Albany Saratoga Speedway. The Brett Hearn Series event. Okay. Anyhow, we'll do that one in just a second. If you follow the racing scene, of course, nationally or not, that was the other unfortunate, tragic news this past week was on Saturday night. We lost another racer, a successful racer, the Raging Cajun. Passed away on the race out in Wisconsin, and Jason, of course, was well liked by a lot of folks on the series. He had just joined the World of Outlaw sprint car series as a regular. I'm not sure if it was last year he was there every week or not, but certainly some of you sprint car fans would know. But Jason, of course, was racing for the lead on Saturday night with Darren Pittman, who ended up winning the event. There we go. And he said, or they were racing for the lead, he jumped the wheel, and it was a horrific crash. He went up and got into the billboards, and it was a not a good deal. And certainly a lot of the people on Facebook back and forth sending their condolences to the Johnson family, but he had just won the biggest race, the most prestigious, and certainly one of the highest paying races, $100,000 to win. He won the Knoxville Nationals, just 2 years ago in 2016, and really brought his name to the forefront. We did have the privilege of seeing him run the last couple of years down in Volusia with the Outlaws and the All-Stars, and like I said, he was a very friendly and great guy, and it's I hate to see this happen, but that's, I got to say, that's the only reason, or not the only reason, but why I kind of have a hard time sometimes going to sprint car races, because those cars are a little more dangerous, certainly, than our modifieds, our full-bodied cars here in the area. And this certainly happens in all divisions, but that is a tough one right there. And of course, there's calls going out for the cars to be more safe, and they've made them certainly safe over the years, and certainly Tony Stewart has had something to do with several different changes they've made over the years, and guys still get hurt in them, that's for sure. But it is what it is, and I'm like everybody else. They are very, very exciting to watch. the sprint cars as well as the open wheel. The unwinged sprinters are another whole ball game there, where those guys are flipping and flopping and going down and the guys get hurt and get killed in those as well. And not to say that doesn't happen in other divisions, but it is what it is. Everybody that races, pretty much to the man or the lady, know that going in, and you have to take that with a grain of salt. These people who want to get out and be a race car driver know the dangers, and it's part of their feelings that it's worth the risk for that competition edge that some people just have to have, and, it is a shame, and Jason certainly will be missed, that's for sure. There is a GoFundMe site up for, I think it's #Forever41. That was his number. So if anybody feels the need to can help his as a young family, young kid, a 6-year-old son, I believe, Jack, who idolized him. In fact, Jason had won a feature just last week with the World of Outlaws. I think he had 12 career wins. That was always his goal, to run with the best and beat him, and he did. As we said, at the the biggest show for sprint cars, the Knoxville Nationals, just 2 years ago. So he was a great racer. He won many championships down in his area in Louisiana in the sprint car series down there. Is, I think, a 5 or 6 time champ with that series before he made the big move. And another one of these small family teams who was able to schmooze with the right people and get enough sponsorship to travel with the World of Outlaws, which takes a buco amount of bucks. You think racing around here is expensive. Try to run with the Outlaws for a year. But he was able to, with his personality, to get along with some people who had the funds and the parts and the pieces needed to be very competitive. He was 5th in the points, in the World of Outlaw points, going into Saturday night's activity. So, again, their condolences go out to the Raging Cajun. And, like I say, if you feel as though you want to do anything, it's #Forever41. So, kind of on that same somber note, we did attend yesterday the memorial service for our good friend Bernie Heald, and probably most of you, the racers certainly, and the officials, and probably maybe not a lot of fans knew of Bernie, but he was a major cog in the whole wheel over at Albany Saratoga for many, many seasons, and a couple of promotional teams, that's for sure. And he will be missed, and I thought it was a great service. There was no doubt about that. But I thought it was interesting talking with promoter Lyle DeVore yesterday afternoon about what they were up to as far as replacing Bernie. And he says, well, right now we got 3 guys, or 3 people, I'm not sure if they were all guys, 3 people trying to replace Bernie at the Speedway. And it was kind of ironic, I guess. I happened to notice today while I was getting prepared for the show, just to get an idea of what was out there as far as the scuttlebutt, if you will. There was some questioning, I guess, about the points in some of the divisions at the Albany Saratoga Speedway. And even though Bernie was, in these last few years, the pit steward, he was at one point, well, he did a little bit of everything there. He was a scorer one time. He was a race director. He had been a handicapper. And I just kind of wonder if Bernie was still there, whether they be having these issues or not. But I'm not taking anything away from the new guys, but trying to get this sorted out as far as the points go in a couple of divisions. I noticed myself once I did go up and pull the points up for tonight, and I did notice I wasn't quite sure that the numbers were off, but I did realize that the wins have little stars after the drivers' names. They weren't quite jiving with the wins. There were some guys that had a win or two that weren't listed on the sheet. So just some minor little things, but I say that's what these guys that race for points, which is a lot of guys, want to have things the way they figured it. And believe me, they keep track and they know where they're at. And with that, while I said that, and again, these are official. They're on the website, but apparently there is some discrepancies. So I don't say these are written in stone. There may be some changes coming down the pike, but at Albany Saratoga, after last Friday night's activity, and as we said, we'll have the two winners of 2 classes, and hopefully 3. We'll sweep the board with all 3 here if we can get a hold of Josh. But Jesse Mueller, of course, as you said, picking up a tremendous win in scoring his first big block modified feature event on the dirt. And Jesse grabbed the lead fairly early on and just rode that top line to the end and picked up the win. And there was all kinds of stuff going on behind him. Ronnie Johnson, who had started back in 24th place, was on a roll. Ron's been really good this season, and he showed it again on Friday night as he was able to work his way all the way up the second spot, grabbing second late on in the game from Mark Johnson, of course, the former champ at Albany Saratoga, who's been struggling a little bit for him the last couple of seasons, certainly last season and this season. Looked to have the best car that he's had over there this year. And Mark was running the extreme bottom, and pretty much everybody else that was going forward was running the extreme top. And Mark has won a lot of races like that, but it wasn't to be on Friday night, as Mueller and Johnson ended up 1-2. Mark Johnson finishing third. Brett Hearn coming again from 14th, I think, something like that. Finishing up in fourth, and Kenny Tremont Jr. rounding out the top 5. So that's a pretty good. You have 3 track champions right there in third, fourth, and fifth. Then our guest last week, who is continuing to get stronger over at Albany Saratoga with his family machine, Demetrius Drelos, rounding out the 6th spot. Then Neil Stratton, 2 weeks ago, winner Matt DiLorenzo, and Donnie Ranca, who had a great run early on. Don started up front and led the early part of the race, but drifted back to finish just out of the top 5, but in the top 10 when it was all said and done. Matt Papello having one of his strongest runs, finishing up in the top 5. 32 modifieds again, so with the exception of maybe Grandview Speedway, there's no place that has more cars on a weekly basis than Albany Saratoga. Orange County has been running pretty good car counts, 24, 25, 26, something like that. But the majority of tracks now are getting down to 20 or under. A lot of places. We've lost about 5 cars on the average throughout Dirtland here. So we don't know how lucky we are to have Albany Saratoga and Lebanon Valley with their car counts. You get spoiled, I guess, but it's tough out there. There's It's expensive to to run these cars, and nobody knows that more than the guys that are running in the big block division. That's for sure. In the sportsman division, Jason Graves, we said, will be with us here in a couple moments or half hour or so, and Adam McCullough, who had started off hot around running down in the out of New York State. Basically, Adam's got a great record out of state. He's been close in state, but as of yet to pick up a win at Albany Saratoga on Friday night. Came close on Saturday with Friday night with a second place finish. Connor Cleveland coming off his big win out at the Weedsport Speedway last Sunday. And then Tim Hartman Jr., another guy who's just been, if he could ever start in the top 15, he'd probably have a win or two more by now. But Timmy starting back in the field deep again, finishing in the top 5 in 4th. And Pat Jones rounding out the top 5. And Scott Dole, Jeremy Pitts, Chris Johnson, Robert Bublak, and Jack Spieshak rounding out the top group in the sportsman. Limited sportsman went to John Stoll over E.J. McCullough. So the McCulloughs having runner-up spots in their 2 respective divisions on Friday night. Michael Wagner Fitzgerald rounding out the top podium finish in the limiteds and
this call is being
in the
recorded.
pro stocks. Okay, and I hear the ding in my ear. That means that our first guest of the evening, Jesse Mueller, is with us. And Jesse, first off, congratulations. Has the party ended yet?
Not really, no.
Okay.
We're still going at it.
Well, and I appreciate you guys taking time, because I know that you're getting ready for tomorrow night's the big show, and probably wouldn't hurt your feelings at all to pick up your second win in the big show and pick up some big money along with it. But and certainly you're on a roll. This year's been better and better as the weeks have gone on. But let's back up, and as we said, probably the majority of the listeners and fans have in this area have seen you come along in this area. First off in the asphalt, and then moving into the big block. So let's back it right up to the beginning. How did Jesse Mueller get involved with the racing period? Was your father a racer, or did he go to the race? Did he take you to the race, or how did that all work out?
I kind of always wanted to do it. Definitely wanted to do it. I had some older people in town that always brought me down to the races.
Okay.
And we had a garbage truck actually roll over, and the guy was involved with racing. We started talking to him, and he was like, "Why don't you guys come to the races and hang out with us if you're interested? And if you like it, we'll help you get started and show you around the race car, and help you kind of build one and all that." So that's how we got started with it.
Okay, so really, it wasn't your dad or any of your family that were the fans. This was just
my dad actually. He bought a race car when I was like probably 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
A dirt modified from Malta, and it sat in the garage here for like the longest time. And I'd come out here like every single night and look at it and sit in it.
Yeah.
He just never got the funds together and stuff. He didn't know anything about it to put a motor in it. He ended up selling it.
Mm-hmm.
But I always went to the races. I'd go to Devil's Bowl on Sundays, and I have an older fellow, Donnie. He used to take me to Malta, and I used to watch Jack Johnson.
Yep.
And I always knew I wanted to be a part of it. Like, I loved it. I just needed to, wait till I got older and get the funds to do it.
Right. And Devil's Bowl, like you said, is probably, well, we can call it your home track, as far as it's closer to your home probably than Malta, right?
No, Malta's definitely my home track.
Oh, Malta is closer. Okay. I was thinking you were...
it's like 45 minutes from me, where Devil's Bowl is probably like an hour and 20.
Okay. I was thinking you were kind of in the middle there, but no. All right, so you always wanted...
we're like 20 minutes north of Lake George.
Oh, okay. All right. And like I said, so you decided, when you finally got old enough, and so then did you have to talk your family into, spending a little money, because obviously you were still in school, I would assume, at that point.
Yeah, I think we started building the first car, I was like 14 or 15. And I wanted to go dirt racing for sure. Like, that was my dream always. But my dad was like, he's a wicked clean freak, you know, like everything's got to be wicked clean, no dirt. And he's like, there's no way we're ever going dirt racing. He's like, if you want to go asphalt racing and do that, we'll go that route. And
Okay.
I followed him right to the end, but we ended up going asphalt racing. And
Yep.
anyway, and we won a bunch of races, probably close to 30, between Airborne, Devil's Bowl. I raced at Malta on blacktop. I think I had like 5 seconds in a row. I never won one.
Right.
It was close.
Okay. Yeah, and
finally, like, the asphalt tracks just started fading away a little bit.
Mhm.
There wasn't the car counts and the competition, so we kind of wanted a new challenge. And I talked to my old man into going dirt racing. And Stewie came up and drove one of my asphalt cars at Airborne because he was in NASCAR's point chase.
Right. Yep. I
Utica.
remember. Yep.
And he got a hold of me. I never talked to him before. He got a hold of me, and he was like, listen, I know you run good up there, and I need to come up there, and I need to do good in the race for, I don't know, he needed to do good in a NASCAR race for something. So I was
Right.
like, yeah, come on up. And he jumped in it, and I think he finished like 6th.
Mhm.
And he was like, if you guys come dirt racing next year, I'll help you out and get you going and show you how to do everything. So that's how it kind of got started.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense how this all turned out. Now, I know it was, well, it certainly wasn't anything new, but when you started, you actually, and I guess, okay, that makes sense why you came to Fonda, because that's where Stewie was kicking everybody's butt. Not that he didn't do that about everywhere, but, you know, that was...
Yeah, he kind of was showing me the ropes and was like, you need
Right.
to come to Fonda, and I'll show you the ropes and show you the adjustments on the cars and all that. So that's what we did.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, your family is in the towing business or whatever, so, I mean, you're somewhat mechanical, that's for sure, because you can't drive those big rigs all over the road and not know how to fix them from time to time, because they do break down, or you know, just a logistic pick anything else. But so you basically started with, you know, Stewie as your
Jesse?
yes, with your as your tutor, but you were pretty much green as far as, well, I mean, you had raced with the asphalt, but was that pretty much a on-the-job training as far as, you know, setups and all that other stuff, or did you have, like you say, these older people, guys around you that knew how to work on race cars?
No, well, we started out snowmobile racing. I
Okay.
snowmobile raced for probably 6 years.
Yep.
So that's how we kind of got going in the racing.
I
We knew we were competitive and we liked to win.
Yep.
And then, like I said, we had that garbage truck that rolled over, and they kind of taught me, because I didn't know the first thing about a race car. I mean, I knew. Well, I probably started racing 6 years ago now, 7 years ago.
Right.
I literally knew nothing. I didn't know how to change a tire. I didn't know what a turn of wedge meant.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about it, and luckily I had a good group of people that taught me.
Cool.
And I just worked hard at it. I read a lot of books.
Yep.
And I figured it all out. And my dad's really mechanically inclined.
Yep.
He can build and weld and cut and tune anything, but when it comes down to doing scaling a car or something, he's not.
Right.
He just can't do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me I kind of got to do it, and I just took it all in and figured it all out myself.
Well, cool. Well, I say we have stories like that from time to time. You know, usually it's fathers that have raced or went to the races, but this was kind of on your own and kind of worked. You talked your father into doing it.
Yeah.
Now, and like I said, the asphalt part of it was more because that's where he wanted you to be. So that's pretty interesting. And
it was kind of tough because
Yep.
my old man, he loved it and he wants to be a part of it, but I couldn't get off the track and be like, Dad, what do you think? How'd the car look? He'd be like, I don't know, you look kind of slow, or
Right.
whatever. He didn't know
Right.
how to make adjustments.
Yep.
So we actually hired a few people throughout the years to come to the racetrack with me, like Dale Plank,
Yep.
and watch somebody that can watch the race car and see
Mhm.
what adjustments need to make to show me what to do.
Gotcha.
And that brought me a long way when we hired Dale.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I haven't seen him around lately, well, I haven't been around myself, but I know I'm an old guy, so I remember when Dale Plank, was, well, there was years ago when he was like Stewie. He was one of the best around here. He won a ton of money from NASCAR at Fulton, and was a national champ and all this other stuff. And he's been doing that, well, probably for 10, 15 years now. He tried to get his son going, and then, of course, he's been kind of a hired guy. He's been with several different young drivers like yourself, and taught them the ropes, so to speak. And yes, now I do. It's coming back to me now. Like, when you get my age, you don't remember things that happened yesterday, let alone a couple of years ago. But I remember, Dale being in your pit area, and
yeah, he's helped me out a ton. He brought me a long way, for sure.
And so it's been, guys like him, and it's like you said, learning on the job, and that's not a bad thing either, because most of the good ones, the guys that do this for a living or whatever, are guys that know how to do it. There's a lot of guys in your situation that have the financial backing from your parents, and they really, they just take it and go with it and hire somebody to fix it for them, and it just usually never works out. But you've come up to the right way with that. I mean, you've obviously been very lucky that your family's been able to afford to do the big blocks, because it is very, very expensive. And I know it certainly wasn't funny at all, but and you went through the same thing that Jack Johnson. We talked with C.D. Koval last week or a week ago. The same way these guys, knocked down. That's the old saying. Jack Johnson said he knocked down every wall at Fonda, but it was always with somebody else's money, so he was able to keep on going. But you tried to knock down Fonda's walls a couple times, and luckily did not injure you, but you wrecked some stuff, and that's not rare by any means with somebody that like yourself that's trying to be better and better all the time. But you've never feared from or had a lack of fear, that's for sure. You were always, I know I've seen you a couple times, you got to be kind of good joking friends with Jake Spraker, who's had a lot of good race car drivers drive for him at Fonda and around the areas as well. And I see him and joking with you on Facebook a couple of times. I know when you there was a couple times there, maybe almost a whole season, where you were the fastest car in not time trials, but hot laps or whatever. That obviously that doesn't pay the bills. So that's the only problem. But I know Jake could always kid you. Well, yeah, maybe the fastest now, but when the checkered flag falls, we'll see what happens. But on Friday night, you beat them all, and just a great win. But getting back to that, I have known Ronnie Proctor for a long time, and Ron was a good friend of your family. And in fact, I guess we went over back when I guess Matt DiLorenzo was the promoter. We walked in the center of the infield there one night, and I had said something. Ron and I were talking, and I said something about, I've never really met the Mueller family. And he says, "Come on, I know who they are." So we went over and we talked with your dad, and that was like the week or two after you had one of your bad ones at Fonda. And Ron said something to your dad. He says, "Well, is the bankroll about depleted now?" He says, we've had some tough luck here lately." He says, No. He says, "We're good." He says, I haven't even got into the extra, the side account yet. This is where we're doing good." But that's kind of the attitude your dad had. That, we're going to keep at it, and same as you. I mean, did it. And so then, was it 2 years ago now? You left Fonda and went to Airborne again, because, well, they went back to dirt for one thing. But I think you mentioned because of the sponsorship, you had some people up there that wanted to see you race up there, and that's one of the reasons, I think. I mean, am I making this up, or is that kind of
No, you're right. When I was up there on asphalt, I had some sponsors, and they stuck with me through the years. And
Yep.
I wanted to get back up there for them guys and
Yep.
see how it was on dirt
Mhm.
and have some fun. It's closer to home.
Yep.
And I had a lot of fans up there that wanted me to come back.
Right.
So
Yep.
we went up there last season and did that deal. But back to the Fonda deal. I mean, yeah, that year in 2015, I think I rolled like 3 or 4 cars.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you what, I learned how to rebuild a race car. I can tell you that. And I think that's
right.
what got me to this point is because I built so many cars. I know every single nut and bolt on on all my cars. I've touched all of them, and I've just learned. I learned how to do it. I think when you understand a race car, that makes a big difference on your driving.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When you're at track, when you're at the track, the adjustments and all that.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, a race car is a race car, that's for sure. But the surfaces are different. Was there anything you learned on the blacktop that you could transfer over that helped you with the dirt, or there wasn't? Did it hurt you maybe?
No, it definitely hurt me.
Okay.
I thought
Okay.
I was going to show up to Malta and be a hero and win my first race
Right.
in front of all them guys. And
Right.
let me tell you what, it's a different deal. It's a whole nother style of racing and learning curve and way of thinking. Like, I mean, this is going on my 3rd year there at Malta.
Yep.
And I finally got a win, and I feel like I'm pretty competitive every week. Like, I definitely have a car to win it every week if I don't screw up and jump the cushion or miss the bottom or something like that.
You're right. and that was the deal on Friday night. It has been the last, most of the season, I guess, for whatever reason. And I said we were at the memorial service for our good friend Bernie Heald yesterday, and I got a chance to talk to Lyle DeVore for a little bit, and we got talking about the track, and I keep kidding him. I said, "Well, what are you going to do this week to screw the guys up?" Because everybody's saying, "Well, geez, one week we got a ton of bite, and next week we don't." He says, "Yeah." He says, "I sit in my couch every week and figure out what I'm going to do to screw these guys up." He says, "I'm just trying to get this track so that everybody can race on and have a couple of grooves." And he's been able to do that. And he said he's just tearing his hair out about the dust, and he knows it is an issue, but he said it's just the sand that they got there, and he's tried everything under the moon to try to hold it down, and so far it hasn't been. But they have an ultimate solution. He told me, and in fact, he said on the show here a couple of weeks ago, he and Howie have purchased 20 acres of clay, which will last Albany, Saratoga, and Lebanon Valley till everybody is gone and doing something else. So they got, but he said the thing is to get it to move to move it up there, and the season's already underway now. But that will be taken care of as soon as probably the season is over. So we may have to deal with what we got. The racing's been fantastic, and I don't think anybody, yourself included, will about that. But certainly the dust is an issue. Certainly for fans, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's an issue, but I mean, there's still the stands are packed every single week. So
oh yeah.
Maybe it's bothering people too much,
No.
Come back.
No, well, I mean, that's kind of what Lyle said. He said, I hate it. I'm trying to make it stop. He says, but the racing is tremendous, and that's the main. He says, people will probably put up with this, as long as the racing is great. As soon as they can't see the racing, and then it's going to be different. But from a driver's standpoint, of course, you're up front most of the night on Friday night, so it probably wasn't. Is it an issue? I mean, you don't always start up front, that's for sure. But as far as the drivers goes, I know some racetracks do have an issue where it takes some places half the event before a driver feels comfortable. He can actually see far enough ahead to feel that he can make some moves. But has that been an issue for your drivers at Malta at all?
Not usually, because when you're in the racing circle, going around, like, dust seems to go out from
Right.
there.
Yep.
But it is an issue. Like one night, I think like everybody was ringing it around the bottom, and the top was like blown off.
Yep.
And it was probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was like, you know what, I'm going up to the top. And I just came from like last up to like 10th or something, and that night it was horrible because everybody was on the bottom, and I was the only one up there, so I was like having to keep pushing it away, you know. I couldn't see entering. I could not see entering in the 1 and 3. Like I just knew where the cushion was, so I had to guess it kind of.
Yep.
And just you couldn't see. You just had to go with it. But that was the only night, really.
Yes. Okay. And that's, you know, the night I think there was a couple of guys that had said something about it. Like I say, and most of the time that's the case. I've talked to drivers over, you know, we've been doing this for a way too long time, but usually that's not a problem for the drivers. Like I say, there are some tracks now that it has a problem until it gets blown off or whatever. But anyway, well, we're off on a different tangent there. But on Friday night, and I don't know, well, certainly at Fonda when you were learning and when Stewie was helping you out. Of course, that's where he runs most of the time. He got to the point now where his car is good all over, and I think yours is pretty darn close to that. But you tend to be a top feeder, I think. Is that where you feel more comfortable, or it's just because that's the way the tracks have become?
It's definitely the way the track's become.
Okay.
Like last year at Malta, you could run the bottom real good and get some drive up off, and it just seems like it's not there anymore. So last week I lost the race to Matty D because I didn't go to the top. Like my instincts was telling me to go to the top.
Yep.
But my mind is telling me, you know, stay on the bottom. You got to get good on the bottom, and it's just not there anymore. And Matty went around me, and once he went around me, I went up and followed him the whole entire race.
Right.
And he won.
Yep.
And I said to myself, next week that ain't happening. No.
Yeah.
I know when it's time to go up there, I'm going up.
And I say it has been, you know, kind of most of the season. I said there were a couple nights when the track. I mean, the track has been good. The bottom has been good, but the top has been so good. Well, it's the berm, and that's, you know, the next question. And I know you had mentioned, I think in the pits, I heard you talking to a couple of your fans afterwards, or and I kind of felt as though the same way that it was your race to lose if you didn't make a mistake, because and that berm, the way it's been for most of the season, has been tricky later on in the feature, and it got that way again on Friday night. But I noticed, and obviously you're talking to us because you won, but it looked like to me you had changed your attack. Certainly, it was hard. I sit in the pit grandstand. It's kind of hard to see what's going on. Well, 3 and 4, everybody tells me is a lot easier to drive than 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are the tough ones because, well, Brett Hearn always said that was because you couldn't really see exactly where it was down there because of the way the lighting is. So you kind of got to feel it. And sometimes when that goes away, then you can't feel it until you're already in trouble. And you did get, not in trouble, but certainly I'm sure you got excited about right after you got the lead there when you did kind of jump the cushion there going into one.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to jump that cushion in Malta. Like, and I've done it so many nights, and I've lost quite a few races because of it. And I've changed some things on the car, and I've adjusted myself to where I shouldn't be doing it as much as I was. You know, I made it minimal adjustments on the car, so when I hit it, I don't jump the nose and stuff. And a lot of it comes down to driving, though. It's just I think I finally learned how to.
Well, that's why I say
myself out.
It looked like after, well, not necessarily after that, but certainly right to that point, and I say it did start to break up a little bit more and more, as it always does at the end of the feature. And our guys were jumping over. You know, Ronnie got over it, you know, a couple times, not terribly, about similar to what you did. But I noticed that after that, you dropped down at least a groove or so, 2 tire tracks, maybe lower, as you entered into one for pretty much the rest of the race. And the car stuck, and like you say, that's the adjustments you must have made, because you weren't really running right up to it and letting it kind of turn you, though. So I guess that comes with experience. So I guess you got it figured out, and you didn't mess up. And I know that's the hardest thing to do, especially first you're winning. Now that you've won one, you probably won't overthink it as much as you might have had in the past. You drove a super smart race on Friday night, because Ronnie was coming. I don't know. I'm sure people told you that afterwards, but I'm sure you had no idea when you were out there.
Yeah, I don't think Ronnie would have been coming if I didn't have to hit the bottom I was trying to hit the bottom to get by a couple of the lap cars, and finally I was like, this just ain't working. I'm just gonna have to slide them or something to get around them. But I knew that the leaders would be reeling me in when I was around the bottoms. They were so much slower. But if I could have kept it wound up top, I don't think he'd have wheeled in on me.
Right. No, I mean, there were, before we got, slowed down a little bit with lap traffic, you were definitely driving away from everybody. That's for sure. And I know, in your quotes afterwards, I can't remember. I guess it was in the PR from the racetrack that you had a good feeling about going into, actually after finishing second to Matt, and like you say, maybe giving it away the week before, going to the track. Was the track pretty much the same as it was the previous week?
Yeah, it was pretty much identical. And
okay.
After Matty passed me the week before, I followed him for 30 laps, and I watched every move he made, and I took it all in. And I said, the next time I'm in that situation, that's what I'm going to do. And that's just what I did. I put it in the back of my head, and when I got in that situation, I took advantage of it. And Matty didn't miss his marks when he was on the cushion, and I said, that's all I got to do. Nobody's going to get by me.
Yep. And it's probably a dumb question, but that's what I usually do. How hard is that, to be, try not to be aggressive enough? Like I say, you didn't, I don't know. I don't think Ronnie ever got close enough so you could hear him, but you weren't really concerned then in your mind that there was anybody coming. You felt as though you had a pretty good deal, so you weren't really trying to overdrive the thing, which I think where a lot of young drivers or even older drivers get into trouble when you get down to 3 or 4 laps to go. Man, I only got a few more. I'm going to just lay this thing in there, and there's nobody ever going to catch me, instead of saying, well, maybe we ought to ease into this thing. How did that, those last few laps going around inside the helmet?
I'll tell you, I mean, as much as the lap cars kind of hurt me and Ron caught me, they helped me out a lot, because as soon as I caught them, I probably had 10 to go or whatever, and I was so focused on working my way through lap traffic without screwing up that laps were just clicking by, and I wasn't thinking about anything but, passing cars.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just looked up to the flag stand, and at one point, and I saw the white flag, and I was like, dang, all I got to do is just one more time, not screw up, stay off the cushion.
Yep.
And I was kind of shocked that I was already at 35, because just the lap traffic distracted me.
Right. Yeah.
Which was a good thing, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Yeah. Like you say, you can, if you know exactly, where you're at, and say it's, oh my goodness, this is 3 or 4 or 5 to 6 to go, something. So
where if I was on green flag laps with no lap traffic, I would have been peeking at, the lap counter coming off of 4, or watching the flag stand, and I would have gotten nervous, where
right.
Like I said, I was working my way through, so I didn't have time to think about any of that.
Right. But like I say, you never had a point. I said, I'm certainly, when you got onto lap traffic, you said, well, you're always at a disadvantage when you're the leader getting into lap traffic. So you were thinking it.
Yeah, but I knew that they had to work through them too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I said that.
So as long as I got through them quickly, I knew that they would have to do the same thing.
Right. So we're dumping back and forth here, but going back to the Fonda days, like you said, when you had some pretty serious crashes, and obviously that didn't deter you slow you down because you're right out there doing it again, and it's just something you learn to, and you're young, you're young yet, so that's uh,
Yeah, one the bad wreck I had at Fonda, I flipped like a bunch of times down turn 1 and 2, and I went way up in the air like the last flip and landed right down on my tailbone.
Yeah.
And I fractured the lower vertebrae in my back.
Really?
For like a month and a half, I could only work for like 20 minutes. And I'd have to go sit down and recline and relax for like 30. Otherwise, I was just numb. I couldn't work. And
yep.
I tell you what, it slowed me down a little bit. It changed my attitude on how I entered the cushion going into Fonda on 1 and 2 for sure.
Right. Well,
so I think it made me a better driver all in one too.
Yeah, that's usually what a lot of guys say. That if you have a tough one like that, it can go either way. Sometimes it makes you a better driver, and other times it makes you think too much, I guess, one way or the other. But obviously, you've overcome that very well, and that's part of coming into this whole deal. It ain't easy, or else everybody can do it. But and I've been waiting,
No.
and I got to say, and you were there, so you know. But like I say, I always sit in the pit grandstands, and it's been, I can't remember when, it's been a long time since pretty much the whole pit grandstands was up and cheering and clapping for you when you came across start-finish line. And the pit stands is a little bit different than the fan grandstands because, it's all people that are involved and they know everybody and obviously their families. And, I was sitting below your family, but they were definitely the loudest, that's for sure. But the whole section, and that I don't know, you probably knew that, but that's got to make you feel pretty good that people respect the work that your whole family has put in to get to that point on Friday night. And there wasn't anybody saying, geez, the kid got all kinds of money, whatever. No, everybody was happy for you, and I think that I'm an old guy. I've been doing this a long time, and you don't see that a lot in that pit grandstands when their guy doesn't win. So you guys have gained a lot of respect, and I'm sure you probably know that. But I just wanted to pass that along. That there wasn't too many people sitting on their hands when it was all said and done, and it was a great race to watch too. But.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't believe it when I got out of my car in the front stretch and got on the roof. Like, I did not know that many people actually liked me. Honestly,
Right.
there was so many people going nuts and screaming and hollering. Like, I felt like the whole crowd was, and that's really cool because I feel like I'm not a dirty driver. Like, I would never ever go out there to purposely wreck somebody.
Right.
And there's times I've got into people because I drove over my head or whatever. Like that deal with Mark last year.
Yep.
And I was just trying to win the race, and I drove over my head, and I apologize for it or whatever. But I've learned from that, and I've grown, and I try to be respectful. And that's basically what you want out of this sport. Like, when you have people respect you, that's what means the most. Like, Brett and Kenny and them guys, when they'll respect you as a driver, like, that's what I'm looking for,
Right. Yeah, and I know that...
Like Ronnie, he called up here to my house and my parents' house.
Cool. Yep.
Saturday morning and congratulated us and said he knows we work hard and stuff. And I do, man. I'm out here 24. I never stop thinking about it. I'm in the shop every chance I get, and it just never ends.
Yeah, and you're... well, I'm not going to go there. I said your friend... your girlfriend's father just texted me, so he's been helping me out here as far as getting hold of Josh Coonrod. We've been chasing him down, so thanks, Kim, for that. And I know he was proud as hell of you guys because he had said the same. Because I talked to him yesterday at Bernie's deal, and how proud he was of how far you guys have come. And he said that he's learned a lot, and I said, well, probably not from you. And he just laughed. He said, yeah, right. but no, it's been great to watch you finally get. And I know everybody, I think in the stands too, was probably saying that, my God, we figured this was going to happen. Well, like you said, you're going to waltz in there and win your first feature. I don't think a lot of people thought that, but they knew that you were a serious contender pretty much since you made the switch to big blocks and the dirt. I say it. Maybe that's like you said. You always wanted to race dirt, and once you got on the surface that you wanted to be on, you really, really, really came along. Not that you. I mean, you raced asphalt. What, 3 years or was it? You said it 4 years?
Yeah, it was like 4 years.
4 years. Yep. And so you're now in.
But there was a lot of nights throughout the winter, and whenever me and Kim would sit around and have a beer, and he'd be like, "I know you're gonna do it, kid. It's gonna be your year, or whatever, you know."
Yep.
And I'm getting through the season here a little bit, and I'm like, man, I got to make this happen. These races are flying by, and I got to get stuff done here, you know.
Right.
When is this actually going to come together? And finally, luckily, it did.
And one of the other whole parts of this story you want to talk about is, of course, and I've known most of the. Oh, hello, is that Josh? Nope. Okay. Well, I don't know what that. Did we lose you? Jesse, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm getting beeps coming in here from someplace, but Josh Gray is supposed to give us a.
I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm hung up here with this Coonrod guy. We've been chasing him, I guess. So he's on my mind. Anyway, Jason Gray.
Nice to meet you, Josh. Jason
Gray, of course. Well, not quite neighbors, but you and Jesse are kind of from, well, certainly north of here where we are, but you're way north. But if you anything grabs your attention, feel free to jump in here. We're just kind of trying to wind up a little bit with Jesse, but I know you guys, well, you kind of park in the same section more or less. Josh, you're over, or Josh. Yes, I'm sorry. I'll get it. Jason is parking over in the back lot, which a lot of guys have to now because the pits are so full. But Jesse's got one of the nice concrete pad jobbies out in the front there with all the stars, which he has now moved along and can join very much. Well, except for CG, but we'll he'll.
Oh, geez.
No,
I didn't hear nothing.
No. But yeah, we're good friends with CD. It's yeah. He had a pretty good run early on. Anyway, the switch. I don't know if you tried every, but you've tried a lot of different. You pretty much, when you came to the dirt, stick with a TO or Bicknells, or did you have you tried them all, or tried Troyer? Are you there?
Yeah, you talking?
Jesse, I'm sorry, Jesse. Yes, yeah, Jason. I said we're keeping along with Jesse here just for a few more moments, but okay, I'm sorry. So, did you run all three of the top?
Well, I ran Troyers on asphalt, so
okay.
My first car, I bought a Troyer from Mike Mahaney. It was used up pretty much, and we were just going to run some races with it. I think it was late 2014 season. I went to like Fonda and Orange County.
Right.
So we did that, and then Stewie was obviously on the TOs at that point, and he was kind of helping me out, showing me the ropes. So he's like, you should probably go buy some TOs.
Yep. So
that's what we did, and I built them all winter through 2015 or 14 and 15 winter. And then starting in 2015, we went to Malta and Fonda, and we ran TOs up until I think it was 2016. In 2017, I bought my first DKM cars.
Yep.
And they're great guys too. They've helped me out so much, brought me so far. I'm on the phone with Kyle Hoffman probably like every day. He'll come up to my shop, and he's helped me out a ton.
Yeah, and I know he was there with a big smile on his face Friday night. That's for sure. And like I say, Kyle, I think, is about the only one involved with DKM that I say I'm an old guy, and well, in fact, my wife had the Constantinos in school, but so, I've known them and their family and their father John, of course, for all these years, and of course Eric Mack. Now everybody's knows Eric. He's been around for a long. He's not as old as me, but he's been around for a while too. But it's just so great to see these guys develop this whole DKM thing into. I don't know. I'm sure they told you, but other than Stewart, are you the only other big block modified guy to win a DKM yet? I know that they've had several wins in the Sportsman division. I don't know. Did Kyle win with one down at Lebanon?
I'm not sure about that, but I know I'm definitely the first one that won in the modified division at Malta with a DKM car.
At Malta, yes.
So they were pretty happy about that, and
yep.
we all celebrated pretty good Friday after the race.
Yes, yes. That is one thing I know the DKM boys can do is party. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and
we had a good time.
Oh yeah,
they deserved it.
Yep, that's for sure, and it's great. I said to get it now a big block modified win with their chassis, and obviously Stewie will be there tomorrow night. But is that what made you take the door? Was you knew them guys, talked to those guys, but also Stewart certainly has had some input. We've had Dave on the show and talked a little bit about how it got to where it is and how much input Stewart has. It's kind of a joint thing. Plus, it sounds more and more like it's a computer game down there that Dave says they throw everything at the computer and see what's going to work. Obviously, the computer is getting smarter than us people, I guess, because those cars work. Do you notice a lot of difference? I mean, obviously the car is very good, but do you notice a lot of difference between the TO and the DKM?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
I don't want to talk bad about anybody on the show, really, about TO or anybody, because they were great to me, and
yep.
I think they make good cars. But I feel like the DKM car definitely fits my driving style better.
Okay.
And,
yep.
The way it rolls through the bottom and doesn't get tight on the nose and stuff. And Stu definitely had a big influence on my switch to DKM. I won't lie about that.
Okay. Yep.
When he started winning with him and stuff, I was like, yeah, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, they're a bunch of real good guys. They've been good friends of mine for
right.
a long time. And they're a lot closer to me, too. I mean, within an hour and a half, I can be in their shop and they'll weld the front clip on for me throughout the night, and I could be back home where another chassis builder would take me 5 hours just to get there,
Right. Yeah, and I know, and, we're, like you said, we're not knocking anybody, but I know that has been an issue with, Teal or even Bicknell. Either way, from where we are, it's a drive. And
yeah, it is.
To have somebody like these guys who obviously know what the hell they're doing that close, it's been a big plus. And I know several DKM drivers have said that same thing. And the fact that Kyle and Dave and Eric pretty much are at Malta every Friday night anyway, so you got the brain trust right there. So it's all good. And then when Stewie shows up, that's just that adds the cherry to the top of the sundae there. But again,
yeah, it is nice having them around on Friday nights because they're all there and they watch my car, they watch me, they
yep.
help me driving style and chassis setup. So
yep. Well, I was a Jack Johnson fan myself back in the day, that's for sure, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And I got a big kick out of your dad driving. I understood he bought that Jack Johnson vintage car, and
yeah, he did.
That's the biggest smile I saw on his face until Friday night when you won. But he looked pretty good in that old 12.
Yeah, my dad's always been pretty hard on me and making me always try to be better. And I think Friday night he definitely let it all out and let me know how proud he was and stuff, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in fact, like I say, I sat near them. They were walking down, and while they while you were getting interviewed by Mike Warren and Victory Lane there. Yeah, you couldn't quite see it, but I'm sure there might have been a little tear coming down the cheek of that big old guy. So it was great all the way around. It was pretty good all the way around. It always is. The first one's always the best, but the only problem is now that's all you're going to be happy with. So so now you gotta worry about that. But
well, I thanked him. I thanked him because he pushed me to be the best no matter what I do, and all the nights he made me work in the shop, and he went out and did whatever he wanted. And he's like, no, if you want to race, you're going to sit there and you're going to work on your car. And that's how it's always been. Mm-hmm. And at first I was kind of mad at him for it, when I started racing, because I didn't know what I was doing, but he just made me figure it out.
Yep.
And I'm glad I did now, because I don't think I'd be where I am if I had somebody else working on my car and doing all that kind of stuff.
No, I said it's, yeah, well, it's kind of like, I'm going back to old school stuff, but now they always used to say the teacher that you didn't get along with as well in high school is the one that you remember down the road, because they taught you the things that you needed to know, and you thanked them later on in your life. And it's great, like I say, to have your family behind you. And before we let you go, and Jason, don't fall asleep. We're going to be with you here in a minute.
I'm still sitting here.
Okay. I always give everybody a chance to, thank their sponsors and the people that made it all happen. Obviously, your family has been huge behind your whole racing career here so far, and it's just getting started. But who else, besides your dad and your mom, and you mentioned a couple of your guys, but helping you out?
Yeah, I have quite a few sponsors been on board for a while with me.
Yep.
But first of all, definitely I know Larry talked about, but my parents have been my biggest supporter, and we work so hard at our family business day and night to be able to do what we do, and we definitely couldn't be racing without that. But Big Al, he sponsors my whole left rear quarter, and he's up from Plattsburgh too.
Mm-hmm.
He's stuck with me, and he's helped me out a ton this year. But whatever I need, he gets me. And Eric and Cherry Laundry with Freihoffers, they've helped me since I first started on the asphalt days, and Millen Construction and Doug Hooley with Ideal Excavation. There's so many of them that give me whatever I need to go out there and win races, and it's pretty cool to have them all on board.
Right. Now,
almost pit stop.
Yep. I know you said something about, and I think you mentioned something about it in Victory Lane on Friday night, that and goes right along with what you were saying earlier. You've been able to hire some good people like Dale Plank, and now have you got a new guy that's been hired full time, a crew guy to work with you, or had he been working with you now? It's going to be full time now.
Yeah, Andrew. He started with me probably like 2 or 3 years ago. And
okay.
We had a love-hate relationship at first. Like, I couldn't take the kid. It took me a while to really learn how to deal with him. But now I love him.
Yep.
And we love each other, and we work good together, and we have a good relationship at the races and about race cars. He totally understands what I like done and how I like to do things. And he loves racing, and I definitely he started for me today, actually, full-time, year-round. He'll be working on race cars.
Cool. Now,
and
is that...
I think it's going to be the best thing for our team, because it's a never-ending job here. I mean, you could work all day, all night, and there's still something to do, and I need to start focusing on business more.
Right. Yeah, and we saw Larry White, who's kind of, in your same situation where, he's building his own trucking business along with his dad, and he's backed off from racing, and even though he does have a full-time, Scott takes care of all his stuff. But I think it's great to see that have now fans out there may not know who Andrew is, but Andrew, of course, is I don't know if he got started or trained by Brett Hearn, correct?
I think Billy Decker.
Billy Decker. Okay. This is another.
He
Okay.
helped Billy Decker and worked with him for a while when he was a younger kid.
Okay. All right. But he definitely, has it. So he's going to have a carte blanche now. He's going to go out, and he's going to take care of it. And so you'll have to complain to him when things don't go well.
Yeah, well, like I said, he knows how I like things done now, and he knows what his job is. And
Right.
I'll be up here every night after work doing what I got to do, and the
Yep.
scaling end of it, and all this stuff I like doing, the motors and stuff. And he's going to kind of take care of all the other stuff that takes up so much time. And it should work out really good. I hope it's going to bring our team up to even the next level after that.
Well, it's great. Well, good luck. I say it was a good way. I mean, it was good for the Speedway, everything, because people have been waiting. When's this kid going to win? When's this kid? He's there. He's second. He's second. He's going to. Well, Friday night did it, and it couldn't be any better time to be peaking here now because, of course, the big show tomorrow night, and that would be pretty great to go back to back with that.
Yeah, I tell you what, it definitely picked my confidence up. And I think it's going to be real good because now I can settle in, and I know in the back of my head I can do it now. So I don't have that second guess anymore.
Right. Yep.
Hopefully now we can start clicking them off, and we got our Super Dirt Car Series car. Actually, we just loaded it up right now, and we're ready to roll for tomorrow night. Hopefully we can go down there and get in the redraw. And we got a fast car down there. I mean, I think we got just as good a shot as anybody at this point to roll in there and walk out with the big check.
Well, you're certainly your name moved up quite a few notches after Friday night. That's for sure, because that would be quite the deal. Because they got the top three that everybody's figured it's going to be. McCready, Shepard, are one of the locals. That's for sure, and you could be one of the locals. Well, Stewie's coming back too, so maybe you can follow him around until the last lap or two, and then.
Yeah, there'll be some good competition there.
If
we go there and run in the top 5, that'll be a nice run for us.
You're well capable of it. Certainly after the way things have been going this season. So again, congratulations! It was a big win for obviously for you guys, that's for sure, but for everybody. And I say it was pretty much a universal yay all the way around. So and that's good. But the other thing is you're going to get ready if you ever start ringing some of these off, the booze may come, but that's the other side of that deal. So,
well, I couldn't be more happier about the way that it all worked out and the timing, and where we started. I didn't start on the front row. I had to work for it. It had a couple nights, and all my biggest supporters were there that night. My grandparents and everybody made it down, and it was really cool to put the show on for everybody and come out of there with the win. I've dreamed about it since I was a little kid. I used to go there and watch Jack Johnson and all them guys.
Yep. Well,
finally my dream came true.
Well, you'll it's there on tape, and I'm sure you guys will buy a bunch of them, and you'll be able to watch it over and over again. So, and hopefully there'll be more to come. That's for sure. I'm sure there will be. Again, Jesse, thanks for taking time with us. I know you guys are getting ready for tomorrow night, and we'll see you tomorrow night. And good luck. If you back it, we'll get you back on here because I got more questions.
Cool. Thanks for having us, Ed.
Thank you.
Congrats, Jess.
Yep.
See you guys. See you tomorrow night.
Yep.
See you.
Good night. All right, now Jason Gray, and we got to go through this whole thing with you too because it's great. This year we've had a lot of new first-time winners, and of course Jesse has won before on the asphalt and has won on some other racetracks, but not in the ones locally here that we cover from week to week. But we try to cover a lot of them. But well, let's get started like we did with Jesse. How did you get started in this deal? Now, well, I did explain earlier on. I don't know if you were listening or not, probably not. That you live a little bit of a drive from Albany, Saratoga, like 3 hours, 2.5, depending on.
Yeah, we come 150 some odd miles from home, so yeah.
Yeah.
3.5 hours on a Friday night.
Yeah, that's definitely dedication. And how did you get started with it, and I'm going to show my ignorance here because I'm an old guy and I just lose any touch of reality from 5 or 10 years back. That's for sure. But was your dad, your family involved in racing, or were like Jesse? He said,
Yeah,
okay,
my grandfather started racing back well, probably 50 some years ago, and then my dad, and then my uncle, and then myself, my sister, and then my cousin. So it's kind of a family tradition thing. They owned at one point Barrage Speedway in Bradford, Vermont.
oh really? Okay,
And, yeah, and rented it, leased it out to CV Elms.
Yep.
And then, I came along. I helped my uncle when I got old enough, and he ran 358 at Bradford. And so we did, I was always in the shop with him doing stuff. And, it comes down to the time where, I said, well, it's going to be time to jump into a driver's seat and try it out. So I built myself a front-wheel drive Hornet car, and we went and messed around with that for a couple of years, and then we were trying to figure out where to go from there. And it was a toss-up. Do you stay in the four-cylinder class? Do you move up? Do you what? And then we had a modified that we sold the motor from, and we just had a car sitting there. And my dad said to me, he goes, "What do you think about jumping into a sportsman car?" And I said, "Are you crazy?" And he looked at me and he said, "It's just sitting there. There's no sense of buying something different if we can, put a motor in it and you can go race." So in 2008, that 7 and 8 winter, I was like, well, if you're okay with it and grandparents are okay with it, it's their car. And I said, well, let's do it. So 2008, I started in the sportsman division, racing at Barrage, a quarter-mile track. And, it took me about a half a year to kind of figure out what to expect and how the cars work and this and that. And 10 years later, I'm at one of the best racetracks in the New York area. So, I mean, it's crazy that in 10 years that happened. And, it's been a struggle. It's been some ups and downs, goods, and
Yeah, this is what, and again, I forget, but your second full year?
This is my
third year.
This
Okay.
is my third year at Albany. I was there off and on in 2016, 17.
Okay.
And I finished 10th in points.
Yep.
Missed a couple weeks for work. And to finish 10th at Albany in points is like winning at most places.
Right.
Because there's some. I mean, let's face it. There's some stiff competition. So.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that.
It's a big accomplishment for me.
Yeah, and
my guys. And
what made the decision for you guys, to travel that far? Obviously, Barrage being a family deal and fairly close or whatever. And again, not being too familiar, but I guess as far as dirt goes, that's all there is up there, right?
Yeah, you got Barrage. You had Canaan Fair Speedway,
right?
That closed down a couple years ago.
Okay.
We have Legion Speedway that's 25, 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for dirt. I mean, and then you got the asphalt stuff. But I made the decision. I sat down with my grandparents and my family and my mom and dad, and we sat there and we said, hey, I don't see much, point of going and not having fun.
Right.
And,
yeah.
In my opinion, and I've told the guys, I said, if we're not having fun, we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And coming home every night, either 1 week you'll win, you'll start in the rear, and then you get wrecked and this and that. And I got fed up with, stuff that was going on, and I said,
Mhm.
listen, I said, I can't do it no more. I
Yep.
said, if I'm gonna have fun doing it, and I love racing, so it's one of them things where, yeah, if the fun's out of it, we're not doing it. And
Right.
we decided to go to Albany.
Cool.
And then we did the King of Dirt series
Yep.
in 16, 17. And then that started getting too much, and we backed down. And last year we just raced Albany.
Mhm.
And then this year I told them, I said, we're going to go there, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to, work our tails off to be one of the better teams. And, it's been a struggle, but we're getting there, slowly but surely.
And obviously, I mean, this is a dumb question too, but hard work. Obviously, you've been working at it. But what is it? The track that's come around your way or your setup or whatever this year? What has made this year? So I mean, you're there, obviously back to back, and I don't think I would see that the way things have been going at Albany Saratoga at all this year. Somebody winning 2 weeks in a row. I
mean, for us to go there, and like I say, there's 36, 38 cars a week. There's probably 30 cars that can win any night.
Right.
And I set out this year. We bought a 2018 Bicknell.
Okay.
And I've had Bicknell ever since I started.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy and Mike, Mike Romano,
Mhm.
and all them, Don Scarborough, all them guys have helped me out, and I've stuck with them. And this 18 car is, I would have to say, probably the best car I've driven in my whole career.
Right.
I mean,
Now, this is not a coil car though. This is a bar car.
no, this is a coil car.
Is it a coil car? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So then maybe it is a little bit to do too, and not only that, but the track has been smooth this year. And I say, well, obviously, Matt DiLorenzo won with the same car that you have a week ago.
Yeah.
And he said, the track is smooth, which these coil cars seem to need to have. So no, it's well, that's good. So now
I started off 2018 season. We bought the car, and I put bars in it
Mhm.
first thing, because the track could be rough.
Yep.
You never know, and I knew that coils, it had to be smooth and had to be kind of glassy and everything. So
Mhm.
I just kind of taking my time and saying, hey, let the track come to us, and then we'll think about switching over or whatever. And then I don't know, 4 weeks into it, I was looking at the 20 car, David Schillen.
Right.
I mean, he was
Yep.
he was 3-4 tenths faster than everybody else, and I'm like, man, he's on coils, and he's got that car hitched up, and I mean,
Mhm.
it's crazy how fast he was. And
Yes.
I said,
Yep.
well, either we got to do something. We either got to get our bar car set up better, or let's switch over and see if we can make it go the same. And I switched over. The first week I switched, I got tangled up and put in the wall, and took out the front end, so I replaced the whole front clip, and we put it back. I had a guy come here and weld on the new clip, and went back, and unfortunately we had a mechanical failure the next week.
Yep.
And then the week after, we parked in Victory Lane for the first time. So I mean, you take two bad, you got two good.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
you got to take what you're given and move
Right.
on, and it's fun.
Well, that's what I say. That's the fun part, and the fact that you drive 3.5 hours each. Well, so it's a 6 hour time in the truck. So you got lots of time.
Yeah, you spend more time in the truck than you do at the racetrack.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the same with the whole deal. I mean, you guys work. you know, all the week long, you know, 3 or 4, well, even more than that, 5, 6 hours, sometimes a week, a night. They go out there and basically, you know, the features take 12 minutes, and with the heats, you know, maybe you're on the track for possibly 15, 20 minutes. So it is for the love of the sport and to have fun, and that's what it all starts out to be. And unfortunately, because of the expense of everything, it's kind of takes some of that fun out of it, some from time to time, especially when you wreck, like you said. But then you get the 2 nights like you had, and like I said, you basically had them covered the last couple of weeks. There's been no doubt about that. And again, I don't know if there's any discrepancy with the the points in the sports division. There has been some talk about some issues over there, but you know, right now you're standing 4th in points if this is correct. So,
Yeah, I jumped the last 2 weeks. I was 10th going into Friday night, and
okay,
you know, with that win, it jumped me all the way to 4th.
cool.
You know, when we set out to, you know, go over to Albany, I said that, you know, points are not an object. Preferably, running before the modified is fine, but if we have to run after, I mean, you just have to use your head more, and because the track's a little slicker, and I mean, it's racing. So I mean, you race the racetrack and the competitors, and you know, you got to kind of flip that coin when you going into knowing the schedule. You got to be like, okay, the modified's going out there, and they're gonna 35 laps. So you got to read the racetrack and see what kind of changes you can make to make your car better. And I feel personally, this 3rd year being there, I can read the track a lot better than, you know, the 2 prior years.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
I mean, that's just a learning curve for me being a driver.
Yep.
And not racing there very much. So.
Mhm. So it's like I say, the learning curve has finally peaked. It looks like. Well, for you and Jesse, but I mean, Jesse's kind of the same deal, like you said. It's been about that many years that he's been full time at Albany Saratoga as well. You did mention that you're part of a family business, which a ton of race car drivers are involved with. And I know the answer because I kind of asked you this on Friday night, but just so the listeners can get a feel, what is your family business, and why is it sometimes you may not be able to be at Albany Saratoga on Friday night?
Yeah, our family business is C.W. Gray and Sons Auctioneer Company.
Okay. Yep.
We do estate auctions, construction auctions.
Oh. Yep.
All, you know, stuff like that. We also have a dealer run car auction that we run in White River Junction.
Oh. Okay. Yep.
So I mean, we have a bunch of stuff going on.
Right.
A lot of times.
Yep.
A lot of times we have an auction on a Saturday or whatever, and you know, if it starts at 8:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Getting home at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, getting up to be at work at 6 a.m. is you know, that's 5 hours of sleep, and you know,
yep.
You just can't do that.
No.
And be able to function.
Right.
So we've come to the conclusion that, you know, on those days that we don't race on Friday, and you know, it hurts, it suffers, but
yep.
I mean,
I got
work comes before play, and
yep. Well,
that's the way I've been brought up, and
right.
You know, my parents and my grandparents expect us to work, you know,
right.
hard for the company, so
yep.
we can have race cars just like Jesse.
Yeah. Well, I say it's without work there is no play. That's that way. So
and that's the thing. Without making money and
right.
you know, being able to support a race car, yeah, you're not gonna have a race car if you can't make enough money to support it. So it's a
yeah. No, I said it is.
It's a battle.
It's just it is, especially nowadays, and I guess, you know, relatively speaking, it always was that way. Racing's that you know, the old adage, it costs money to have fun, and it just keeps costing more to have sometimes
Yeah,
not as much fun.
and the
But
sport. I mean, the sport's getting more expensive
Right.
all the time,
Yeah.
and to be competitive against a lot of guys that are very, very competitive.
Yep.
I mean, you got to be on your A game, and you got to spend the money.
Yep. Now,
That's what it's come down to.
was it the fact that the 602s came into play, several seasons back now, 5, 6, whatever the heck it was, when we made the big switch in most of the divisions other than the big block modifieds, that allowed you guys to keep on racing? I mean, if you had...
I mean, my uncle had a 358 that he bought from Morrison.
Yep.
And we had, he raced that for probably 4 or 5 years, and the car count went from like 20 cars to 11. And
Right.
then
Yep.
his last season around here kind of went down to like 9. And
Yep.
it was kind of one of them things where either you did away with the division or you made it more affordable for people to
Right.
get into. Because,
Yep.
I mean, a 602 car is supposed to be a beginner's car.
Right.
And a person that can't afford to spend $60,000-$70,000 on big block motor.
Right.
So I mean, it makes it for like myself. It makes us more convenient. It's easier to say, okay, a 602 motor is only $4,200 or whatever against a $60,000 motor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a good thing that
Yes.
everybody kind of got on the same page, and dirt car, and everyone was really, really focused on, okay, we need to find something that helps that gap from people that don't have the funds to fund a big block car that can still race. And I think they've done a very good job. I mean, you roll into Malta and you have 36 sportsman cars, and you have 35 limited sportsman cars
Right.
that are the same exact car.
Yes.
So I mean,
Yep.
that's a great field.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And any promoter would love. I was kidding with Lyle on yesterday afternoon there that it was. People in the area don't realize how lucky we are, because you look around. Most other areas, kind of like you were talking. Now I don't know. So your uncle's still running on Bear Ridge, or
No.
no? Okay, these sell it, or they're just not running it.
No, actually, I took over his car.
Okay. Yep. And but Bear Ridge itself is still carrying on weekly.
Yeah,
Yes.
Barrage is there. They're 54 years this year
Wow.
of running. So I mean, they're getting a good car count for this area.
Are they?
23 cars for a
Good.
quarter-mile track. I mean, that's good.
Yes. Yep. About all you want. You get more than you have.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And
Yeah.
The first night I went up there after we rained out at Albany, and there was 26 or 27 cars.
Hmm?
To be honest with you, it's too many for that track. And
Right.
so,
Well, that's good.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it this way. You got Albany that has that many cars, and then you look at like Fonda, and you look at Lebanon. I mean, a lot of them guys, they're only picking up 15, 20, 25 cars. And,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Lyle's looking at that saying, man, we're doing great. And, I mean, he runs a tight
Yeah.
ship, and he doesn't mess around, and it's fun racing. So,
Yeah.
and
Well,
everyone respects.
And I know it benefits you guys because you travel so far, but he does run those. He tries to get everybody out of there at a decent hour, and I just want to not only congratulate you guys for your back-to-back wins, but also for hanging around so I could catch up with you on Friday night, because I know a lot of guys, especially that have to travel any distance at all, and a lot of them race the next night anyway. But you guys were celebrating a little longer probably than usual. Probably on the night maybe things didn't go quite as well. You probably hit the road a little sooner.
Yeah, I mean, we try to watch the races. We're there. We pay the money to watch, and
Cool.
I mean,
Yep.
I'm friends with Jesse, and you know, to
Yep.
watch him win that race the other night. I mean, that's a good accomplishment for that team. I mean,
Well, yeah, I
You
guess. Yeah.
personally, for me, it's a Super Dirt Series race a lot of nights, and to pull off a win like that against a lot of good guys, Tremont, Hearn, Mark Johnson, all them.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, so
Yep.
to see some good racing and watch the other divisions and support some people that support us. And that's,
Yep.
it's,
Well,
it's fun, and
that's great because
I mean, it's a long ride, but we we have fun. We make the best of it, and when you do win, it makes it for a shorter ride on the way home, and
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
and you get to celebrate a little bit and have fun.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna shout out because I don't know. We had our thing in the studio here. Just go off for a second, where I can tell who's on the. Josh, did you ever get a hold? Josh, did you ever call us? No, I guess he's not out there. Okay, but people have got a hold of him, and supposedly he was going to give us a call. But anyhow, we've been fighting with him for almost a month now, but we'll get him. But anyway, it's been great. Now, as we said, so we covered pretty much your history and how things have been going. Again, this is probably another foolish question, but and I think the answer everybody gives me is yes. But if and when the time comes that Dirt or somebody does something to make the big block modifieds cheaper, or eliminate them and go to a W16 or something like that, would you consider moving up in the class, or is it just it'll take more time and obviously a little more money, not the 50,000 that we're talking here now? Would you like to move on up to modified someday?
Yeah, I mean, I've always dreamed about driving a modified, but I mean, in this area where we are,
right,
there's no track that allows us to do that.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I'm gonna race for a while, but it's gonna be one of those times where I have an 8-month-old child, and
Yep.
we're in kind of in that transition time where
Yeah.
I have time to race, and but it's also family time. So
Right.
I mean, there'll be a time that it comes along, and hopefully the W16 motor does take off and either starts its own division, or they are gonna say, okay, the big blocks are all falling off, or however, and it does turn into its own headline division. And
Right.
Yeah, it'd be fun to drop one in and go and play and have some serious horsepower at your foot. And,
Right.
and see what it's like. I mean,
Yep.
the crate cars are awesome, but everybody's the same, and it's hard.
It is. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the W16s won't be the same, but I mean, at least you'd have power, and
Right.
you'd have to be on your A game and make sure that you got everything, all your ducks in a row to be competitive. Not saying that you don't have to do that when you're a sportsman driver, but no, I think if it comes down to that, I don't think I'll ever go to a big block. I mean, I
Right.
just can't
I got you.
justify
Right.
$60,000 to
Well, I
to
guess
race.
I don't think they're all at that point.
And I mean,
yet,
if I ever was able to run the Super Dirt Series race, or the series, and you got show up money, and kind of however that works, that would be one thing. But I don't see, that's just a dream.
Right.
For me, I
Right.
mean,
Well,
I don't have enough publicity to get a a seat or a ride for that. So I mean, it's pretty much you're going to stay at a sportsman car until, or if they ever change it to a W16. So.
Right. But like I say before, and I probably can answer this question would be that with all the work you guys have and do, I don't know. Are you going to try to come down tomorrow night?
Yeah, we just got done an auction today, and I have two guys that help me, Jeff and Kyle, and they got out of work early and came down and put 4 or 5 hours into the car, and I got back here at like 7 o'clock tonight, and they had it pretty much all wrapped up. I rolled into the shop and checked my scale book and said, hey, I think it's about right where we need, and we loaded it up, and hopefully everything goes the way that we've been going, and maybe we can pick up another victory tomorrow night.
Yeah, and this one pays a little better too, so that'll be that much better. And I was going to ask you because I don't know, and I say I was talking to Lyle yesterday, and I don't even we were there for Bernie Heald, and I wasn't thinking about the big show here quite as much here yesterday. But do you know how the qualifying is going to go for that? I mean, how you guys are you going to draw for position, or I know they're going to split the field. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to draw for time trial groups, I guess.
Okay, and that's what. Yep, do it the same way.
And then on your time trial group, that will set the feature, or the two features. So number one goes to the first feature, 2 goes to the second feature, and then I guess the top 12 of each feature that qualifies, the top 12, will go to the redraw.
I gotcha.
So the worst you can start is 12th.
Yep.
If you're inside the top, I guess, total of
24
cars.
Right.
Or
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, the way that they've got it broken down, it gives you a pretty good chance to, be one of the top guys. Unfortunately, for us, 3 hours to drive over there for warm-up, for hot laps and time trial and 20 lap a feature. But, I mean, what the heck? There's, a total of $12.50 on the line if you're running on Fox Shocks. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Consider
either you come home a hero, or you wasted your 3-hour trip to just go over and race. But I mean, plus you're going over and you're watching, you're hanging out with all the guys, you're racing against good guys. Plus you're watching all your idols. I mean, Matt Shepard, Tim McCready, all them guys are going to be there, and it's Stewie and Jesse. So it's going to be it's a great time. I've been there. This would be my 3rd year going.
Okay. Yep.
To the big show.
Yep.
Prior years I didn't have all that much luck, but
Well, I say right now you're the man so far. If things, like you say, if the track doesn't change, and I don't, Lyle is going to work on it. So we had a little bit of rain, pretty hard rain there yesterday afternoon. But so I told him, I said, well, he can take the day off yesterday. He doesn't have to water the track yesterday. But I don't imagine at this stage of the game, with the season, that the track, like you said, is not going to change a whole lot. And you guys seem to have a handle on this deal here now. So hopefully there'll still be a little bit of a berm. I don't know. They're going to run one of your features before and then one after, or are they both going to run before the modifieds, or don't you know?
I can't remember how we did it last year.
I can't either, to be honest with you.
I want to say that we ran both features before the 100-lapper.
Yeah, I think you did, yep.
That's like the headline.
Yeah, right.
The headline of the show. So I think what we did was we did our time trials. They did their time trials, their B, maybe one feature, and then they did the B feature for them or Conci.
Yep,
and
that's right. You're right.
We ran ours, and then they ran the big show 100-lapper at the end. And,
yep.
I think that's how that went.
I think so too, and you're
And
Yeah.
I mean, I like that. I like that lineup because there's a lot of racing. You know, I'm expecting quite a few sportsman cars. I'm
Oh, yeah.
expecting a lot of modified guys showing up. I mean, it's a pretty good purse for them. So I can't believe that they won't.
Yeah,
So-
Brett said last week we had him on the show, and he said it was probably going to be the biggest Super Dirt Series number-wise of the year, and we'll see. Well, he's paying. Not that he's taking any money out of his pocket, but they're someone's coming up with 10 grand instead of the usual 6. So that's certainly a and it's going to be great. And the last, well, this is actually the third big show in little letters, I guess, so far this year at Albany Saratoga, and each one of them has been pretty pretty exciting. Not to say all of the races have been, even your division certainly. You're not stinking up the show by running away. That's for sure. You've been in the right spot, and the car has been great the last couple of weeks. But like you say, it's any night 20 of those guys could win, and it'll be the same tomorrow night. And we want to congratulate you. Before we let you go, though, we want to give you, like we do everybody, a chance to thank your sponsors, obviously your family and your family business. We've talked about, but go ahead and give them another shout. And the guys that, like 2 guys came down and made it easier. So give you a few minutes so you could spend with us tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to thank CW Gray and Sons and my grandparents, Herb and Becky Gray. They're the big supporters that give me the opportunity to do what we do here. And him and his father started the business, so then now I can step in and help out. I want to thank my mother and father, Tim and Loretta. They've same way as Jesse. My dad told me, he said, if you want to be a race car driver and you want to race, you're going to have to work on it, and you're going to have to do everything to the car. So,
yep.
I mean, from day one, that's what I've done. I've turned all the wrenches. I've learned how the car works. I understand what's going on, how to make it better. And my dad expects a lot out of me, just like my mother. And so, I mean, I can't thank them enough for giving me the opportunity to drive this car. I got to thank my wife, Caitlin, my daughter, for letting me do what I love to do. And unfortunately, I lose a lot of time with them.
Right.
But in the end, she knows that it makes me happy. So.
Oh yeah.
So I can't thank her enough.
Now they get a chance. Do they come down? All of them come down with you every week, pretty much.
Yeah, my mom and dad come down every week. My wife and daughter usually come pretty much every week.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents will make it out once a year because it's a long drive.
Yep.
But I mean, they're always texting, trying to figure out how myself and my cousin are doing, and just checking in. So it's a big family thing.
Great.
And I can't. I'm so thankful for them. Some off branches of CW Gray & Sons, I got to thank Bargain Building Products, Connecticut Valley Auto Auction, Herb Gray's Used Cars and Equipment. I also got to thank K&K Napa out of Lebanon. They came on board probably 3 years ago, and they helped me with tools and stuff like that. So got to thank those guys. Mike Romano, Andy Speed Shop, great guy. Ever since I've been going to Albany, he's been helping me and trying to fine tune this car. I pulled in the pits the other night, and the first person standing at the end of his trailer just jumping up and down. It's amazing how the guy is so into racing, and when you do well, not even if you're doing well, he'll help you and do everything for you. So I mean, can't thank him enough. Who else am I listen. Tilden Electric, MME Electric. I'm trying to think of anybody else that I missed. R3 Graphics for lettering the car this year.
Mm-hmm.
Did a great job.
Yep.
Ricky and the guys, they're a good guy.
Yep. Yeah, he's my neighbor.
And then,
He lives about 3 miles from my house or 2.
Yeah. And then finally, I got to thank the guys that are dedicated with me. It's a team sport. I got the easy job. I get to drive the car and do everything. But Jeff Hodge and Kyle Johnson, they're the number one. They both turn wrenches. Like I said, they were here this afternoon working on it. So
cool.
While I was working, it really is. It's a team sport, and I can't thank those guys enough and their dedication.
Yep.
They get out of work at noon. One gets out at 3, and they ride over to the racetrack and give us a hand. And so, I can't thank those guys.
Yeah, and your story and Jesse's story and a lot of young. It's so great. Me as an old guy, I really appreciate young guys like you because I know the sport's going to be around for quite a long while with younger guys like you come in. Like you said, you all grow up and have families and sometimes back off, but a lot of you come back after getting through, and I totally understand that the family deal is because this is a family sport, but you need to have time with the family as well. So just want to congratulate.
Yeah, I just don't want to miss the opportunity of my daughter growing up.
Right. Yep.
It's kind of like it's a one-in-a-lifetime thing to actually, have a family.
Yes.
Your first daughter, you want to make sure you don't miss anything.
Right. Yeah, and I
don't really want to quit racing, but at the same time, you gotta see the big.
Oh, yeah.
The big picture.
Yeah, there is life after racing. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and,
between her and my wife, those two are the big picture.
Right. Oh yeah.
I can't.
Absolutely. Yep. But it's great that you got a chance to share your talent in front of all of us fans down here. Because I say without you guys, we wouldn't have anything to do on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night too. So we appreciate it. Spend all the time you guys spend just to be there. Like like we were talking with Jesse earlier, you guys work, on countless hours during the week to come down and basically be on the track, maybe 15 minutes out of the whole deal. So it is, but it's nights like last Friday night and the Friday before that makes it all worthwhile in the end, and that's.
Yeah, it does.
That's what it's all.
And it's a good feeling to, be a kind of an outsider coming in, and probably a lot of people didn't know who I was or any of that, and to put it in Victory Lane and stand on the roof and have 600-700 people in front of you cheering and clapping and stuff, just like with Jesse, his first win. It makes you feel good. A lot of people didn't know me, and
Yep. Well,
you probably expect a lot out of me, but when you do that in front of that kind of fan base, and these people are they're diehard racers, so they're cheering for you.
Oh yeah.
And then Friday night, I got out of the car and it's the same thing. I got up on the roof and I'm like, wow.
Yep.
All these people just standing there, clapping and cheering, and
well,
it just makes you feel.
Yes,
good.
I say the fans are really appreciative of, like I say, young guys like yourself and Jesse who have, and we have pretty good fans around here. Most of them have been doing this for quite a while, and we know the work that you guys put in to put on a show for us, and obviously so you can enjoy yourself. But when guys like yourself who put your time in, and Jesse, it makes that much more sweet. Now I'm saying, and you probably know, if you go another couple wins, that may change because
yeah,
but
I
not really.
understand no one likes no one likes the repeater,
Right.
but I mean, it comes down to, preparing cars.
Yep.
And, it's not just, people don't understand that, yes, they always win, or, look at Matt Shepard and Stuart Friesen, but you got to understand that it happens because they put the time and effort and energy into
absolutely.
being the best that they can.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't like that. Look at Brett. I mean, he's got 900 and some odd wins.
Right.
And he still get booed. He get booed all the time. But I mean, the guy is raced forever, and he's good.
Yep.
So I mean, you can't sit there and boo at him, because there's not many guys that get 900 wins.
No, no, there's not very. You can count them on one hand and a couple of fingers.
I mean, if I could get 900 wins, it'd be a miracle. But
right.
I mean, it's never going to happen, because very seldom does somebody do that.
No. Well, that's why I was kidding with him last week when we had him on the show talking about the big show coming up. That, it's certainly been thrown around. It's hard to measure guys from the 50s and 60s, and I saw a lot of them in 70s. They were coming up through. Whether who's the greatest, but his name certainly, as we told him, is and he knows this. It's come up as the GOAT, the greatest there ever was. And who knows? I mean, they'll argue about that till time is over. There's been some great drivers in the modified realm over the years, that's for sure. But he's certainly right up there. There's no question about that. And and it was great, like I say, to have guys like yourself who've been paying your dues to see it all come. And when it comes back to back, and I guess that's right. The Randy Miller, I guess, has won 5. But in the open wheel cars, you're the first guy to go back to back. There's been no back to back winners in the modifieds yet, so that's
there's been a lot of different winners. This year,
all over. Yeah, and it's been good.
Good racing.
Yep, and probably your name wouldn't have been.
It feels good to set a bar that
right.
You're one of the guys that does it, and not many do. So.
Right, and like I told Jesse, that's the only problem. Well, now you've backed it up already, 2 weeks in a row. But after you get that first one, you're not happy with anything else, and I guess that's a bad thing. I guess about when it just wants you to make more, but. It's also.
I mean, I'm not overly greedy. I mean, right. I understand that big things happen, and I got two wins right back to back. But go to Albany and come out a 10th place car against all these guys. I mean, that's almost like a win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy to say that after you've won, but theoretically, I mean, that's the name of the game of the whole thing. I mean. There's guys that are really good, and if you start in the back and you get the 10th, you've won. Or if you start 10th and you finish 5th, I mean, that's a great night, and you can load it in a trailer. So,
like Timmy Hartman, who he's certainly won his share as long as his dad years ago. But he's starting. He started 24th, came up to 4th this week, and he did about the same thing the week before or whatever. But if he can never start in the top 15, he'll probably pull off a few wins here and there. But coming up tomorrow night, with the system they got now, I don't worry about points. So you can, luck goes your way. You can pull a pole.
Time trial,
right?
And...
You could pull a pole. You could start on a pole tomorrow night and make it 3 in a row. So, but that's
we're gonna drive out and we're gonna give it our best.
Right. Well, that's what we all go to the races for. We never know what's going to happen. As I say, you sat in the trailer the first 2 weeks, and then came back with 2 wins the next 2 weeks. So hopefully that positive way will keep going. It was great to see you win these first 2, and hopefully there'll be more down the road. That's for sure. It's always great to have some new blood on here and see that the original reason to do this thing, have fun, is still with a lot of you guys, and that's a good thing. It makes me have a good feeling.
I appreciate having you on the phone, interviewing me, and
Yep.
thank you for all the you do, and thanks for the ice cream.
Yes. Well, you got another one coming. I may sneak that over tomorrow night, and then Friday night I'll have a free night. So let's see. But, if that's all right with you, I guess. But
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. But yeah, the weather looks great. So I think I told Lyle yesterday morning. I said, well, I think he and Brett both. He says, well, I hope so. I said, well, I think you guys may make a nickel or two. And he said, well, hopefully, I'm hoping for a dime. So, but I'm sure they're gonna do well tomorrow night. We'll see you over there tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And again, Jason, I finally got that squared away over tonight's over. Jason Gray, back-to-back winner in the Sportsman Division. A tough feat to accomplish, that's for sure. And well, I say we've done it before. If you pick up $1,000 next or tomorrow night, we'll get you back on just for congratulations in a few seconds. Because now we know how to get a hold of each other. We're in good shape.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hopefully.
Okay. Well, get some sleep because it'll be a long night tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. All right, folks. We're run off, and if you missed any of it, and I can tell Jason and his family there, they were first timers. They weren't quite sure how to get a hold of us. I believe all this stuff is going to be up on our website within a day or two or so, and then Richie gets a chance of his busy schedule here to throw it on. So if you missed anything, or you know these guys and wanted to catch a little bit more of it, just go to Wheel People with Ed Lamberton on our Facebook page and scroll around. It's there somewhere. At least that's what I'm told. I haven't had a chance to do it myself yet, but we will see. All right, and the elusive Josh Coonrod remains elusive. We will, and I'm not going to quit until he does. We'll get a hold of him very shortly, and I'll try to run him down on Friday night face-to-face here and see if we can't work out our logistics here. So until next Monday night, keep it between the boards. We'll see you over at the big show tomorrow night, Brett Hearn. If you're going to hopefully get over there early, get out of work early. Festivities begin around 4 or 5 o'clock. The drivers will be signing autographs. Gary Blue will be there with his brand new book and signing it. Also, Kenny Wallace, as near as I can figure out, right up until this afternoon, he was going to make the show. He will be racing in a Willie Akmoudi prepared race car that's painted up with Kenny's numbers, and Kenny's a hoot all by himself, so you want to go over and talk to Kenny Wallace, get your Gary Blue book signed, get all the rest of the signatures from the Super Dirt Series drivers. They will all be there, and as all of our favorite announcers seem to come up with now every week, who's it going to be? Well, obviously the top 3 guys, you got Matt Shepard and Tim McCready, who have both won the open shows so far at Albany Saratoga, and of course Stuart Friesen. Stewie was a little bit off, he said, a week or 2 weeks ago for the last Tuesday night event, and the CD Koval and Jack Johnson event, the tribute, but they're going to tweak it a little bit, and believe me, well, we saw what those DKM chassis can do with Jesse's win on Friday night. So those are the 3 guys, Shepard, McCready, and Friesen, that everybody thinks it'll probably be one of those. But we got guys like Jesse, who is on a roll, could definitely pull it off. And I told a couple people yesterday, I'm just in the back of my mind a dark horse, and kind of hard to call him guy at Dark Horse who's won so many races this year, but he doesn't maybe get the recognition. But Eric Rudolph looked awful stout over there for the tribute race, finish up in the top 5. Don't be too surprised to see that 26 somewhere around the top when it's all said and done too. So, well, that's why we go, to see who's going to be. Don't forget this week, fireworks with the 4th of July falling on Wednesday this next week. I'm not quite sure when everybody's going to take the holiday, but the speedways, some of them are having fireworks this week. And some of them, like Glenridge. Glenridge, don't forget, Glenridge is having a big show for the pre-4th of July weekend. A 50-lapper, $1,000 to win crate modified event up on the ridge. Hopefully Mother Nature will finally let them get a show in again. And Fonda Speedway is going to have the bike night, so get all the kids there, kiddies night, and your kid may go home with a brand new bicycle. So lots of great things going on this weekend at our area tracks. Get out and enjoy, and we'll see you at the big show, and then at your regular Friday or Saturday night tracks this week, and then we'll be right back here next Monday. I guess with the holiday being in the middle of the week, I guess we'll probably be here Monday. See you then.
I don't know what happened. You dropped us or what? I got up.